Assistant Chief.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Goshen Township Trustee meeting of January 13th, 2014, 7 p.m. Please be sure to sign in, check the box if you'd like to speak. Now we'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got the year-end closing meetings of January 4th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. I'll second it.
Roll call vote, Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Heineman?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
And you also have the minutes for the reorganizational meeting of the same date.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. I'll second the motion to accept the minutes.
Roll call vote, Mr. Heineman?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes. At this time, I'll make a motion to pay the bills as presented. I'll second it.
Roll call vote, Mr. Beeson?
Yes.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Heineman?
Yes.
Now these, there's a lot of sheets here, guys, this initial, but it's because the computer only lets me go from middle of December to the end of the year, and then I had to go from the first year down to today. For whatever reason, they don't span years, so. Okay, we also have the December 31st bank statements. They are in balance with the bank. Need initials on each sheet. That's it.
Okay. All right. At this time, we have a guest speaker this evening, Pat Sweeney from the Mahoning County District Board of Health.
Good evening. Thank you all for letting me join you this evening and for the opportunity to talk with the trustees from Goshen Township. I'd first like to say thank you sincerely for allowing the Mahoning County District Board of Health the space to run a WIC clinic here at the Goshen Township building. This has started about a month ago and it has been very well received. We are increasing every time that there's a clinic out here. There's two, one every week, and we're increasing in clients that are visiting the clinic, and it is truly a necessary outpost. We have not been able to serve this portion of the county since the WIC program came to Mahoning County District Board of Health from MICAP. When they cut their budget so dramatically, a lot of the clinics closed. So this was the very first place we wanted to reestablish service, and thank you for enabling us to do that. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that, as you know, well over a year ago now, the Solid Waste Management District provided a budget and a plan to all of the townships that was approved by all the townships after much negotiation and kind of struggle with the Solid Waste Management District and the Board of Health to try to maintain funding for the Board of Health programs. All of the townships unanimously supported the Board of Health, and we were very grateful for that. But as you know, in the last 5, 6, 7 months, it has become apparent from when Lou Vega took over running the Solid Waste Management District and took a, closer look, I don't know what it is, that they ended up experiencing between the closure of Central Landfill and really taking a closer look at the books. They realized a $600,000 shortfall coming into the budget year for 14. That, in turn, meant you couldn't bleed a turnip. You couldn't get that budget from a stone. So, as you know, all of us across the board, every program that was providing services for the Solid Waste Management District has been cut by 41%, townships alike as the Board of Health. And I'm coming to each of the township meetings to explain to the townships exactly what that translates into for us. When I came to you originally and said we were going to have difficulty maintaining a program if we were cut at 50%, which is what the Solid Waste Management District initially proposed, and you all recognized that was true and you supported us. At 41%, we're in the same ballgame. Just as you, I'm sure you've had to experience some cuts in the programs that you were providing for recycling, we are in the same position. It doesn't necessarily directly, or I would hope it would impact less, or not hope, but the reality is it will impact less townships that don't have an active landfill. But nonetheless, the programs that we provide with solid waste management funds include nuisance abatement and nuisance investigations. So if there's a public health nuisance in the community, we have had to realign our staff to be able to absorb that kind of a cut to our program. So there is likely going to be some delay in us being able to follow up with nuisance complaints as we had in the past. And that's difficult. That's difficult for you because I know that in many of the townships, particularly those that don't have zoning, they look to the Board of Health to come in, and when there's a nuisance complaint, we work with you to help get that declared, condemn that property or declare it a public health nuisance so that action can be taken. We're not saying for sure it's going to be longer, but I have to be honest, knowing that we've had to realign staff, that it might be longer. And that's why I'm coming to each of the townships to explain that, so that if they do have some difficulty, if there is some delay and you do see a problem, that you let us know. That we have an open door of communication between us. The Solid Waste Management District is saying they anticipate this to be a year, only a year. I don't know that to be the case. They are working on some things to try to change the funding stream for the Solid Waste Management District. Perhaps that will be forthcoming, but I don't know that. So like I said, I'm coming to each of the townships to be sure that they understand that we're going to do our best, but with a 41% cut and having to realign staff in the solid waste management program, that does infectious waste inspections, solid waste inspections, nuisance complaints, compost inspections. There's a lot to that program that we have had to realign, so there is going to be some delay. But I want you to know, like I said, if there's a problem, that you please let us know, and we'll do everything within our power to make sure that we can rectify it. Questions?
Is that going to cut, and I'm sure it is, I just don't know how much into the water well testing.
It is. It is. We have done many of the water wells we do, or around the landfills, we have done many of the wells twice a year. I know that can't happen. I know we can't continue at that frequency. And there's also, when money is abundant, people were saying, come and sign on to do this. If you want your wells tested, we'll be happy to do that. As money becomes less abundant or extremely tight, you have to start to be strategic about how you go about it. So we're going to be working with Youngstown State University geologists to understand the water flow underground and see if there's an opportunity to pick sentinel wells, so that we're certain that we're doing it strategically and with science as the backdrop as to why you pick certain wells, so that we aren't leaving some areas around the landfills unguarded while others are more heavily tested. That doesn't make a lot of sense when you're talking about a public health perspective. So that's what we're going to be doing between now and April. And so by April, when that landfill water well testing program would begin again, we'll have more of a strategic plan to do it, with some intended purpose. It may not be happy for everybody. I think there are probably going to be some people who we will ask, if your neighbor's being tested and you're being tested, one of you maybe this year, one of you next year, as opposed to every year. if it doesn't have to be every year, as long as somebody in that water well path or that underground water path is tested. So, like I said, we're going to be looking at it from a science perspective and coming up with the best way to go about that.
We don't actually have a landfill, but we have water wells that are being tested in our township next to the green landfill there. So it's right on 45 on the homes. So I don't know how many. You go out, how far do you go from the landfill to test?
5 miles.
That's what I thought, so you'll get quite a few homes in that. So.
And where's the $600,000 shortage come from?
Yeah, it's a great question, but first off, central landfill closing is almost $600,000 right there. They brought in that much revenue every year, and so if they're not accepting any refuse, they're not getting the tipping fees into the solid waste management district. Some of that was absorbed by carbon and some by MAHONING, but nowhere near the amount that Central used to take. There's renegotiating of a contract with the city of Youngstown right now. Youngstown waste doesn't go to a Mahoning County landfill. It goes to a Pennsylvania landfill, which really... Oh, me too.
Why does that happen?
Because they were the lowest bidder 3 years ago when they did the process. So hopefully they'll change that this year. Because that's they get a lot of solid waste management revenue into the city for recycling and waste programs. So hopefully they'll see it fit to kind of play together.
Well, when you're talking about that sample, we're talking about Smith Township. That's the landfill I'm assuming you're talking about.
Right.
Smith and Mahoney. You mean the central?
Yeah, it was over here
Yes.
in Smith Township. Well, the county wasn't getting no $500,000 from that. Smith Township might have been getting some of it, but the county was getting very, very little.
The county actually doesn't get it. It goes to the solid waste management district, which is a portion of, a fund within within the county coffers, but it's dedicated to solid waste management district from tipping fees. And it was close to that. In a year,
In a year, you're saying it was probably over $500,000?
And it's public record. There's a Biga, who is the new director for the solid waste management district, is doing a remarkably good job of being very transparent in what's happening with solid waste. He's really doing a good job. But between that and they hadn't had to pay for rent at the Renaissance Center for a couple of years, that's all coming due. So there's some things that made it a really tight year, and 2014 is bearing the brunt of that. But all the townships and the District Board of Health and the Sheriff's Department and the prosecutors, I think, and the Sheriff's Department were kept whole. But YSU, Youngstown City, and all the townships and the Board of Health all suffered a loss in their budget because of that.
They went 43%. 41. And like hazmat got cut 100%.
And roads?
And roads got cut 100%.
Roads had been, decreasing every year,
Right.
but
They just got wiped out.
and there is some talk about how they could recoup those costs. Something called a generation fee that comes from those who produce the waste. But that's all in discussion, and that's really up to solid waste management district folks and the township or the county commissioners to decide how they want to go about that. And that would come back to the township trustees to discuss and discuss with their electorate.
Well, then on new deep well gas, the solid waste there, are we going to be able to get any tipping fees from any of the companies?
My understanding is there's a portion of that. It's called the drill cuttings.
Yeah, right.
Are supposed to be able to go into landfills. And at our last Solid Waste Management District Policy Committee meeting, Carbon Limestone had a pretty good uptick in their revenues or what they received in November, which they said was attributable to some of the fracking drill waste. So that may be foretelling for something. I guess it depends on your perspective, if you want things in the landfills or you don't want things in the landfills. But from a solid waste management and where they get their revenue, that's where they get their revenue. So that's a good thing for them.
Actually, on that, it was also brought up that the drilling waste are going to be coming out of Pennsylvania and New York, coming to Ohio possibly also, not just Ohio drilling. So
Over to from Poland,
right.
We're saying.
Yeah,
So we'd get paid, the county would get paid, or
right.
which is
Solid
not
waste.
exactly solid waste.
They get tipping fees out of that also. So. I think in the next year we're going to see an increase, but it's all wishful thinking at this time, so.
We don't know for certain what's going to happen. I was, I guess, pleasantly pleased to see what was happening in November, but we don't know whether that's just an aberration or something that's going to continue. When I've gone to other counties, the last one I went to asked me to bring some information about what it is that the health department does, because here many times, in fact, I don't know if someone from the health department has ever physically been here before or not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a problem, big problem.
Oh, well then I'm glad that somebody was here.
Yeah.
I don't want to only come bearing bad news. So I did bring some literature to share with you that gives you an idea of exactly what we do and how much of it we're doing. Like thousands of immunizations and 5,000 families or individuals being cared for at WIC, and just a number of things that we're doing that I kind of wanted to share so that you know that what the good work is that the health department is doing, how many complaints we are following up, and things like that.
That's great.
I will leave it for you, or pass it around. Any other questions? I've left every township saying the door is open. Please know that if you need something from the Board of Health, we are definitely here to serve the community, and that is what we do.
Are you representing both, are you representing the Board of Health plus the solid waste?
I don't represent the Solid Waste Management District.
Oh, you're representing the Board of Health?
Board of Health. I'm the Health
Okay.
Commissioner for Mahoning County.
I see, okay.
But I also sit on the Policy Committee for the Solid Waste Management District, as does Trustee Kraken. So I don't represent them, but I am part of the Policy Committee. I'm here to talk about what impact the budget cut has on the Health Department
I see.
and the services the Health Department can provide.
Well, we had meningitis break out here a few years back.
That's why I recall that. Oh, yes,
Right.
they were here then for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was quite a while ago now.
Yeah,
Like 12 years maybe?
10 probably.
10?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say 10. But they was on top of it, and, you know, it's a good thing we had them, you know.
And again, any questions or any concerns, please let us know. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Pat. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Jim?
December totals, we had 2 burials last month, put 1,300 miles on the trucks, used 375 gallons of fuel, and spread approximately 100 pounds of salt grit mix, which were above average on salt this year usage, but everybody pretty well knows that. I gave the trustees a mailbox policy I'd like the township to approve tonight for what the township fixes and doesn't fix as far as mailboxes. Anybody wants to read it, they can grab a copy off on the trustees. Well, you guys want to do that now, or you want to wait?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it now. Again, read it again real quick.
I think it's probably a good idea because there's a lot of mailboxes out there that people are just hoping that they fall over, so it's not going to put them back up.
Yeah.
We never had one before. It was real sketchy. We kind of just went per incident, and now I drafted one up. We have it in black and white, so.
I think it's a very, very good idea, and unfortunately, this day and age, we basically have to put everything in black and white like this because people just love to go after you for it, so.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve the mailbox damage policy that Jim presented. I'll second it.
Roll call vote, Mr. McCracken,
Yes.
Mr. Beeson,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson.
Yes.
I would suggest we put this on the website.
That's probably a good
Under
idea.
the road department.
I would say probably on the road department, I would say so. That's for it.
Then the only other thing I have is an update on the truck. I mean, kind of make a long story short, I had to make a few phone calls to get things rolling a little bit quicker, and supposedly the plow hitch is what we're waiting on. It should be here in another week, and the plow, they're saying 2 weeks behind that. So hopefully sometime soon we'll see that truck this winter, since we're making payments on it and can't use it. So
With your calls, from what I understand too, is the actual plow and frame wasn't ordered till the 5th of December, is that correct?
from what I gathered, so
What
you know, the truck was sitting there September 16th. Is when it was delivered.
I mean, that's when we started paying for the truck, and that's when the warranty started. That's a real issue with me. It's gonna be making a second payment before we get it on the road.
Using up your warranty.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. Thanks. Derek.
All right, we have our year-end fire report totals. We had 513 calls for Damascus Fire Department. Broken down into Goshen Township with EMS runs, we had 294 and 106 for Butler Township, and our fire total was 113. So we're pushing now for new membership for within the department. So we're starting to be a little successful with that. So if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them. If not, I would like to be excused to go to a training detail.
I guess we'll release you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Paul. Steve.
For the month of December, total 430 events, total 5,863 miles on the cars. Kind of a quiet month. Good thing, I'd like to thank Jim for the work. He's doing a good job on the roads, keeping our lot clean, so thanks, Jim. I'd like to read a Christmas card, but again, another kind of a thank you for something we did. It's from the Slanker family. It just said, we'd like to say thank you for the protection and time you give to us and our community. I really do appreciate you, and that's from Bill and Donna Slanker. Next thing, I would like to have the trustees approve moving Dustin Bridgman from reserve to part-time at beginning part-time wage of $12. He's been reserved, so he's done. He's made up his FTO, so he's done.
Make a motion that we move Dustin Bridgman to part-time from reserve.
I'll second the motion.
What was the rate?
$12.
Effective when?
Whenever is easy for you. If you want to make it like today, that's fine.
Want to make it yesterday on Sunday?
Yes, that's good.
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Beeson?
Yes.
Also, all three trustees, I give you guys two policies. One's a new firearm policy we enact, and also a juvenile policy that we had to update per the new ORC rules. So not much difference other than the ORC has changed a little bit. And the firearms, we just made it for officers. New officers can carry. We used to mandate Glocks. Kind of hard for somebody right out of the academy a lot of times to buy a $500 or $600 weapon. So we kind of moved it down to where you can carry any weapon as long as it's approved by the chief and the firearms officer.
I'll make a motion that we approve the new juvenile policy and the new firearms policy.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote. Mr. Beeson?
Yes.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Hardeman?
Yes.
The trustees to approve the 2014 towing contracts, same as they were the year before. Nothing has changed.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2014 towing contracts.
I'll second.
Roll call vote. Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mr. Beeson?
Yes.
Next thing is Detective Beck has requested his extra personal day vacation that we give per policy if you have not used any sick time from July 1st through December, which he hasn't. So per policy is entitled for an extra day for that per policy. So the trustees approve that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the extra day's pay, being they didn't use any sick time.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote, Mr. Heineman.
Yes.
Mr. Beeson.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a commendation letter here for Officer Workner. I'd like to read. Will be placed in his personnel file. On 12/25/2013, you became aware of several individuals in Green Township who were in possession of township property and had posted evidence of that on Facebook. Secure copies of the photographs, evidence, and immediately brought them to the matter of attention of the Detective Bureau. Due to your extra effort following through with this case, after initially discovering it, the individual responsible were identified and properly recovered. Myself and Detective Corporal Brent would like to commend you for your diligent work. That's for Officer Workman. A little bit what that was about. There was a bunch of kids stole a Greenford sign, and one night when they were at a party, posted on Facebook. So, subject who had it was charged with felony 5 receiving. I have another letter here for Officer Eck. On December 27, 2013, you made a traffic stop on US 62 near Duck Creek Road in Goshen Township. Following the stop, you recovered a large amount of assorted narcotics as well as cash. Officer Eck, your diligent work and hard work has not gone unnoticed, and this is to serve as a letter of accommodation. Again, I'd like to say thank you for your service to this department, and a copy of this letter will be placed in your personnel file. That was for Officer David Eck. A little bit, he made a traffic stop, and inside he found a large assortment of suspected methamphetamines, poisonous mushrooms, marijuana, and some ecstasy with a large amount of cash, so I'd like to thank him for that. The last thing I have is a letter of resignation I'd like to read. Again, we don't like people to resign, but this is a pretty nice letter. So Chief McDaniel, I regret to inform you that I would like to tender my resignation at the patrol office from Goshen Police District, effective as of January 13th. I've made this decision not because I'm unhappy with the opportunities you have presented to me, but as a strategic career move. It's been a great pleasure representing your department along with yourself and fellow officers. I wish yourself and the Goshen Police District continued success. If anything shall arise in the future that I may be of service for you, please do not hesitate to call me. That was from Sherry Bailey, one of our new reserves. A lot of hours. She didn't really have a whole lot of time to do that, so she resigned that today, so the trustees accept that.
I'll make a motion to accept Sherry's resignation.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Heineman.
Yes.
Mr. Beeson.
Yes.
Mr. McCracken.
Yes.
That's all right.
Okay.
Well, Jim pretty well answered my question, so
Oh, okay.
I think Jim I do have one comment. I don't think that when we go in business with them people again, we're going to treat you like this. It's just not right. Like Tom says, that half a year of our warranty is gone. You know, it's just unexcusable.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with you 100%, Ed, but the last new truck we got, it was taken up there in March, and we didn't get it until October, so we lost 6 months there too. But, you know, I guess one thing I don't like about this, they knew that that truck was coming. Why didn't they order the snowplow hitch? You know, if they waited till the end of September, or...
Yeah, they could have at least told you that they didn't have it, and you could have went somewhere else and got it.
Yes.
Right.
You know, that's
Or we wouldn't have
wrong.
picked up the cabin chassis, we could have left it set, the
Exactly.
warranty wouldn't have started on it. We wouldn't have made the first payment on it.
Well, they basically did tell you it was ordered, and on the dock, but it wasn't even ordered.
Yeah. That's,
Originally, the conversation was they wanted to try and put it together for the Canfield Fair.
yeah, right. Of course, they didn't tell us what year.
I guess that's what it was, Dave. 2014 Canfield Fair. We're still working on it.
In nobody's defense, after checking into all this stuff, I found out that every truck manufacturer, plow manufacturer, and snow removal equipment manufacturer is backed up 4 to 5 months right now. Everybody's swamped, and nobody knows why, because all municipalities are slow on money, but everybody is extremely backed up for some unknown reason this year, right now. Trucks 10 deep in garages, plows on order that you can't get.
If they'd have told us that up front, like Bob said, we
Yeah.
left the truck sit so that we weren't losing more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just looking for answers, and I wasn't getting
Yeah,
anywhere.
we were told the bed was in stock, and, you know, this...
The bed we did order, yeah, it was in stock, but I just was looking for answers because I wasn't getting anywhere fast, so that was my solution to get answers. I hated to do it, but I needed answers.
No, they weren't giving them to us, so you had to go around outside to get them, so. Okay, Todd?
I think our list of roads that we have for the county this year, we might want to add that section of Pine Lake from Duck Creek to 14. I went through there this evening. That's about the worst section of road I've driven on this year, I think.
Oh, have you been on Pine Lake from Goshen to 45?
No, I haven't been on that section.
Oh, makes this look like a super highway down here.
I'm going to call the engineer's office tomorrow. I mean, I realize it's probably bad right now because of the weather we've had, but they're going to have to get out and start doing something with them because you can hardly drive down some of these roads.
I agree with you. And I haven't seen them any place in this area patching.
No, I've seen it patching. The other thing, Bob, what was the date of the meeting with the engineers this year? Was it the 13th? 23rd, I mean?
23rd, yeah, I believe.
Okay.
Don't have it here with me, I have to back in the office.
I'm pretty sure it's
Sure, 10 o'clock. Yeah, it was 10 o'clock, do you remember that?
That's all I've got.
Roger.
The only thing I have, I'd like to ask Steve, can we change maybe something on the police policy that the officer that got more in clothing allowance than they made last year?
We've been discussing that, and it's just one of the things that we haven't come up
Yeah, I
with
mean,
a
it's-
way that's fair across the board. We've got to do it.
This person is still doing firearms for us, still doing some training, so which, I'm not, I mean, if it's something I'd have to research, because I'm not sure how that would be done. Because, which in turn, I mean, that's something I have to look into.
Okay, well,
I mean, I would like, something maybe in writing or something that you guys are concerned about that, and what maybe some suggestions you guys would have, Todd, maybe how, because I'm not sure how you would do that.
Let's sit down and look at the policy.
Because part-time officers are, permitted the uniform allowance. There is training, and that person has done a couple training sessions with us for firearms, which in turn, I don't know. For a large person, they were off on medical leave, which
I realize
can't
that.
control that. And
Just out of curiosity, the training sessions, what would the cost have been if we'd had to have someone from outside come in? Just roughly, I don't know.
you figure one department was doing taser, it was $50 a person, or as per hour for training, and we were out there for 3 or 4 hours. 12 officers, so you're probably well over the $150 uniform allowance. But if you're getting to the point of if you rip a pair of pants, you need a shirt. I just bought a shirt today, they're about $60. A pair of pants, you're looking anywhere from $70 for a nice pair of pants. If you need to get a holster or anything like that, you're looking well over $150 for a good holster. Boots, Todd will tell you how much boots they were expensive back. You're looking at a good pair of boots, $260 for a good pair of Danners. I mean, they're expensive boots, so I mean, mess something up on the range or something like that, that's where it gets to be that point. But any recommendations, trustees would have, I appreciate it.
Okay. Other than that, that's the only thing I have right now.
All right, well, we sort of went over the new truck update. We talked with Jim about the gravel at the end of Academy Lane, and he's going to handle that. You guys have in front of you offer from Unison Site Management for purchasing the lease on the cell tower at the township garage over a period of 20 or 40 years, making us an offer of $150,000 up front, but that would be split in two payments, $75,000 be paid at the beginning and $75,000 at the end of the first 20 years, at the beginning of the second 20 years. That's a 40-year agreement. Not knowing what's going to happen with the cell towers, it might be good, it might be bad. Right now we're taking in $9,000 a year off of that, so we'd be losing a lot of money over the years if the tower stays there. But he did basically started out this morning with a $98,000 offer for 50 years, and back and forth through the day we ended up with this offer, so we know they have some money to play with. I don't know what you guys' thought is. Put a couple calls into AT&T trying to find out. We are ready to renew the lease on the tower anyhow, see what their new offer is going to be. Nobody got back to me today, so we'll have that till next meeting. So
I think I'd prefer to table it because I think we figured out back there over the 40-year lease that they're offering us, we'd lose $210,000 at the current monthly rate that we're getting.
Right.
Again, you could lose the cell phone tower at any time, but if they're interested in securing that lease, my feeling is there's something coming down the road maybe other than cell towers, whether it's competitive Wi-Fi for internet, broadband, or I don't know, but there's got to be a reason they're interested.
Right. So that's my thought exactly, is to table it till.
Yeah, and the other thing I don't like is this additional 20 feet that he'd like, because that puts it right up, maybe even into the building, and
Maybe even farther. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, we'd have to go back and look at the mapping and so forth on that. I didn't really get that involved with it. I was looking more at the dollars right now.
Yeah.
We get into the particulars, so maybe between now and next meeting we can sort of look into that too, and we'll see what else we come up with. So, okay. All right. We've been shopping around looking for another cruiser. We only purchased one last year, so we're sort of a little bit behind. These Tahoes have been holding up much better for us, so we got 3 different prices. Everyone has a copy. Got one on a Dodge Charger from Salem CHRYSLER Jeep Dodge. The basic one with the trade, they're giving us $9,500 for the Tahoe. We would have $16,745.50 cost after the trade. Next is Stratton Chevrolet on Caprice, the same as what we have now. Again, the same as a state purchase, contracted base. He came up with an $18,000 cost after the trade.
What's he giving us on the trade?
He's giving us $9,700. Then we have one from Donnell Ford. It's on a Taurus. The Interceptor, what they priced out was actually an all-wheel drive. they're giving us 98.70 for the trade. The all-wheel drive comes at $20,440. It's $1,900 less for the two-wheel drive, so that would bring theirs back to $18,540 to make it an equal with the other two packages we have here. So, going dollar-wise, Salem Chrysler is the cheapest. They actually are in our township now. They opened a used lot at the Andrews Honda 162, so we actually have 2 car dealers in the township now. I know we've looked back and forth around. Steve's looked at it, Rob, and we've discussed all the different models. I don't think you've come up with ones any better than the other, really, have you, Steve?
No.
Does General Motors still offer the 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty?
That's a good point. Yeah, they have the 5-year, 100,000. Chrysler has the 3-year, 100,000. Take that back. Yeah, 5. Yeah, they're all the same. 3-year, bumper to bumper, but 5-year, 100,000 on powertrain. And it's Chrysler, Chevy, and Ford. Ford was going to be an extra $2,930, but they waived that for us when they quoted it out. So, but all of them are on the equal as far as the warranty too.
Yeah, Ford has the same warranty.
Yeah, because you have to buy it extra, but he didn't charge us for it. He just rolled it in. So.
Can I make a suggestion from somebody that has to do the maintenance on them?
Yes.
I know I have no opinion, but the price on the Ford, your 20,000, your all-wheel drive, you're not going to have to buy tires for that every year like you do for all the other cars. Right now, the cruisers, you have no tires for anything. You're going to have to buy all new summer tires for every single cruiser out there. That's 4 tires times how many cruisers are sitting there for them Tahoes. That's going to save you some money over the years of service life of that one vehicle. Even though it's 2,000 more, you're not going to have to put tires on it.
Just wonder how much more maintenance we're going to get into with the all-wheel drive versus
I don't know.
two-wheel drive.
I'm just suggesting.
Yeah.
I'm just saying because of
Yeah.
tires and
Tire-wise,
everything.
Yeah.
Well, with the Tahoe, one of the reason we're having so much problem with those, it's not really an all-wheel drive or anything. Remember when we bought those, we had a problem with those tires. And that's one thing, the Tahoe problem with every other police department we've checked. Those are a softer tire. They do wear out.
Yeah, but you still have to change them. Summer tires, winter tires, summer tires, winter tires. In the all-wheel drive, you wouldn't have that expense. I'm just putting an opinion out there is all. It's going to save you money in the long run.
So that's just the issue with the Tahoe. We've tried there's only 2 tires you can get for the Tahoe. And that's what we checked with Detroit State Police. That's what they use. And they said they have the same problem. You just can't keep tires on them.
And also on the Charger, we go to the larger tires. It gains about 2 inch ground clearance with one of the larger tires on that. That was one of the options in the police package we put into this quote. And also on theirs, as of May, Charger's going to come out with an all-wheel drive also, and it's just $1,500 more to step up to the all-wheel drive once they come out with theirs. So, maybe our second car, our fall car this year, might be something we look into as an all-wheel drive. My thought is it's not a big deal right now because we're not going to get this one until it's warm weather anyhow. Probably by the time it comes in, everybody's looking at basically 90 days. Chrysler says he's beginning them in 7 weeks, but they still say 90 days when you order. Stratton Chevrolet, if we ordered a Caprice, it's 6 months. Dawning has found 3 that's already built, so they are out there just having to ship to this location. So,
Well, isn't there some departments that has bought these Chargers and have had engine troubles with?
in the past years, and now starting in 2014, the Highway Patrol have been using this partially. They went to 100% Charger for 2014. so I feel that I sort of follow their guidelines. When they're comfortable with something, bugs must have got worked out of it. But, yeah, for a couple, 3 years, I think Sebring had trouble with one.
Well, Sebring bought the one without the Hemi.
Yeah.
And the only problem with that is that that's what you're getting. And they had a lot of problems. But,
the only other thing we come up with is, we brought up today was brakes on them. And so when the date was, it might come up with it. They went to a bigger brake on them now, so it should take care of the brake issues that was on the charge. They said we're going through brakes fairly rapidly, and they got a bigger package, bigger braking system. So, but that's rolled into the police package, just no extra charges on it. It's just something they upgraded. And I think it must have been in December, because he said it was after the beginning of the model year, 2-3 months after the beginning of the model year.
You said you increased 2 inches on the ground clearance with the Chargers with the bigger tires. How's that compared to the Taurus and the
that put it just almost equal with the Caprice. It put it an inch higher than that Ford. Ford, even with the all-wheel drive, is still fairly well car.
The only thing, going with a taller tire, you're going to pay more for the tires.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, 18s or 20s. They're all such an odd tire now. Their price is up on them, but I mean, that's something at the time we ordered. If we wanted to stay with the standard size tire, we could. There was no difference in cost on it, so just fell right into the police package either way.
Does the Dodge come with a mag wheel?
These are all steel wheels.
State trooper vehicle.
Yeah, they offer those, but we stay with the steel wheel and the center cover. I know we sort of rolled around the Charger when we got the Caprice, and then we went with the Caprice. Of course, that time Donnie could do us real good.
On the Charger, trade's $200 less than the charging is $400 for handling and $33.50 for title. What about, how's that compare with Stratton's with the 18,000? Is there anything in there that he didn't?
He just put everything in one figure. He didn't break anything down, as you can see, so I can't answer that. Like I said, I was telling you before, that was a last minute drop off of the quote, and I think he was just rushing to get it done. I mean, whatever it is, it can't be above the 18,000 total. It can't be adding anything to it, so he must just actually put it all into it.
Now, this Taurus is just still a V6 too, then, isn't it?
That is the EcoBoost V6, yes. And that's another thing too, if you go with a 2-wheel drive, you can't get the EcoBoost, you just have the standard V6, which is a real dead horse.
Do you know of any departments that have using the Taurus now?
Salem's got 2 of them.
Salem.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Salem. They have 2 of those, and they have 1 or 2 of the Chargers now. 1 Charger, I believe.
Sebring has 2, Smith Township has 2.
What do you think as far as pros or cons on it?
Sebring's is not the Eco, it's the small one, and you can tell. I drove them. Smith Township's is not bad, but like he says, he doesn't know yet. Because he really hasn't had them that far.
And who was it you said had the all-wheel drive and the bad weather they had to park them?
Well, see, Smith had to park to get their, they had the all-wheel drive and they had to park to get the Expedition out.
Yeah, 'cause it just wouldn't go. Whether, I don't know whether it didn't handle right or what it was.
I don't know. Just I knew they had to get the Expedition. Also the guy who does our, put the cars together, he says, probably with the rate, it's going to be higher if we go with the Caprice because of the much of the work that he has to do to outfit it. You have to almost tear the whole front end off to get everything the way we have the lights and everything.
You ran into that with this one, and
He did it for that, but he's not going to do it tonight. It won't be that cheap, to do it next
he
week.
said the four-door Charger was much easier to outfit than Caprice's. This time, I'd like to make a motion that we go with the Charger and try the Charger.
I'll second the motion, being that the warranties are pretty much the same and the Charger is just a little bit under the Caprice as far as the cost.
Salem CHRYSLER.
Salem CHRYSLER.
Also, Jeep Dodge.
Salem CHRYSLER, Jeep Dodge.
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. McCracken.
Yes.
Mr. Heineman.
Yes.
Mr. Mason.
Yes.
Then I'd like you guys to go ahead and get started on equipment pricing, and we can end up for the next meeting and get that lined up and ordered, so.
So you gonna wait for the next meeting to order?
I think that's already included in
Yeah.
the money, so we have to do that.
Well, I mean, we can probably go ahead and order for this. Go over it.
It's already included in what we budgeted, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the budget. We still probably will approve it once you order, but equipment-wise, if we order by next meeting, we'll still be good for the equipment, so. It'll probably take us that long to get it all priced out and together, so.
As long as we don't get a snowplow for the front end of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Take 6 months.
not going north for the parts, so. Okay. Everything I have, do you guys have anything else?
Just want to thank Jim for the good job he's been doing with the roads. I know it's been aggravating this year because we've already had 2 months of solid winter.
Yeah.
It's starting to get old, but I do appreciate what you've done. You guys have been doing a good job.
Thank you.
How are we on salt? We're pretty good right now, or?
I think we'll be fine for the rest of the year.
Okay.
If not, I'm working on arrangements to further our salt income, if not. So, but I think we'll be okay.
Okay. I was gonna say, if not, we can probably go right up the road.
No, we can get off from where we're purchasing it now. It just might be a higher cost. So, I already talked to them about it. They said it was too early to tell me they wouldn't be able to tell until we were at our maximum.
Okay.
So, but I think we'll be okay.
Where do we get our cool patch from, Bob?
Central.
Central.
Well, I just seen on TV or news that Mahoning County and Trumbull County has made up stuff and all townships are welcome to it. What's the price of theirs?
It's probably the same stuff.
I think that was Trumbull County, if I remember right, Abe.
And Mahoning. It said Trumbull and Mahoning
And
County.
Mahoning? Okay,
Yeah.
I just heard Trumbull.
As far as the cold patch goes, though, we probably don't use more than 2 ton of cold patch
Oh,
a year.
okay. I thought you used big ones.
That's stuff that's real thick and...
That's what they, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Well, because Mahoning County used to have their own pug mill.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if they still have it.
They do.
Do they?
That's probably what it's coming out of.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yeah,
I
yeah, we don't-
Maybe use way more than that.
We usually get 2 ton and keep it at the garage because it's cold, and that's pretty much all we
Well,
get.
that's temporary patch.
It's like
Yeah.
shoveling
Fix.
oil dry soaked with oil when it's except froze. but
It doesn't stay, that's for sure.
No, right, I know that.
The worst thing about that is, a lot of times Mahoning County will keep using that until they get quite a bit of it used up, when they should be using either hot mix or the hot cold mix.
Yeah, right.
We don't have any control there, so.
All right, well, our next trustee meeting is February 10th, 2014, 7 p.m. I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Hyman,
Yes.
Mr. Beeson,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Burns.